again, guys. Okay, so we're going to be covering 1-8, solving 1- and 2-step equations. Okay, a few things we want to make sure we remember. The goal is to isolate, which means get by itself, the variable. We're trying to get that letter by itself. That is my ultimate goal. Isolate the variable. We do this by, I kind of affectionately call it, by do the opposite or undo. So do, B, do opposite or undo to hop over equation wall, or to move it to the other side of the equal sign. You might remember me saying this from last year. All right, so here we go. Let's work a couple of them. Looking at number 1. First thing, draw my equation wall. So I'm now going to think about how is the m and the 12 connected. It's connected by addition. How do I undo addition? By subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 12. I have to keep it balanced so I don't sink my ship. So therefore, because we don't want to sink that ship. Remember, if I do it to one side, then the ship sinks. If I do it to both sides, it stays level. So I have to subtract 12 on one side. I subtract 12 on the other side. This equals 0. Positive 12, negative 12 equals 0. So now I bring down the m, and yes, you must show this work. So I have m equals 10 minus 12. Follow integer rules. Follow integer rules. They're different signs, so they're doing battle. The negatives are winning, so I have a negative answer. And I'm subtracting, because in battle we have casualties. So I get a negative 2. To check this, to make sure that it's correct, okay, we plug it in. All right, so right here we're going to put check by plugging answer into original equation. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to have m, not m, I'm plugging in for m. Negative 2 plus 12. I want to see if that's going to equal 10, if it's going to make a true statement. Negative 2 plus 12, different signs, so they're doing battle. The positives are winning, so we get 10 equals 10. This is true, so therefore this is my correct answer. There is no reason for you to miss an equation because you can always check it. All right, looking at number 4. All right, I'm asking myself, oops, draw my equation wall. How are the A and the 9 connected? What is happening between the two? They are dividing, so how do I undo division? By multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by 9 to both sides. You can show by the parentheses or by doing the multiplication symbol. I usually, this is the only time I'm going to put the X. I will normally just do the parentheses. When I'm doing this, when I have 9 divided by 9, that cancels, and all I'm left with is A, because 9 divided by 9 equals 1, so I've got the 1 right there. Equals, now follow integer rules. Negative times a positive gives me a negative answer. 4 times 9 is 36, so my answer is negative 36. Check, so I'm going to have negative 36 divided by 9, and I want to see if it makes a true statement. Negative 36 divided by 9 is negative 4 equals negative 4. This is true, so this is my final answer. Okay, moving right along. Fractions, here we go. I know, it's like the cursive math. But we got this. There's no reason to be afraid of fractions. We can do this for fractions. We want to get rid of the fraction. The way to do that is you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay? The reciprocal, that means flip the fraction. We want to flip the fraction. So, in order for me to get rid of this fraction, I am going to multiply by its reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 3 over 2. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Okay? So now when I'm looking at this, okay, if I multiply by 3/2, the 3's cancel, the 2's cancel. So I'm left with x equals, now here I've got a whole number. I need to make this into a fraction so I can follow my fraction rules. 10 over 1, and now I multiply straight across. 10 times 3 gives me 30 divided by 2. I can simplify, so I'm going to divide by 2, and that gives me 15 equals x. Now you could have also right here seen, oh, 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 10 5 times, so I end up with x equals 15. Okay, you could have worked it either way, and then you would check it. For space purposes, I'm not going to check this one for work. Okay, so here we go. Looking at number 7. Just because it's got a negative doesn't mean it changes how I work it. It changes how I work it. I'm just going to treat this to where I always take the negatives and put them in the top. It can't go in both, okay? Because if I do -6 divided by -5, that's a negative divided by negative. That gives me 6/5. I need it to be negative. So it can't be in both. It's either in the top or the bottom. All right, so that means I'm going to multiply by -5/6 to both sides. When I do this side, this cancels, and I'm left with k equals. Now here, I'm going to see if I can simplify this. Comes 12 over 1. 6 goes into 6 one time. 6 goes into 12 two times. So I end up with 2 times -5, which gives me -10. I should have left that as the green. And now if I'm checking, for the check, I'm going to have -6/5 times -10. And I'm trying to see if that equals 12. All right. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into -10, -2 times, -6 times -2. Up 12 equals 12. This is true, so therefore this is the correct answer. Okay, moving right along. We're now looking at two-step problems, which is just combining what we've just done. So here we go. Looking at number 9. To solve, we undo addition or subtraction. It's kind of the reverse of PEMDAS, okay? To remove the constant, then you undo multiplication or division to remove the coefficient. You can think about this as reverse order of operations. All right, so if I'm looking at number 9, I'll look to see, I think of it as unwrapping the present. Sometimes the X is the present, the 6 is the box, the 8 is the wrapping paper. So I've got to get rid of the wrapping paper first. So this is adding 8, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. This zeroes out, cancels, bring this down. Yes, you have to show all of these steps. 6x equals 48. Now, 6 times x, so how do I undo multiplication? Division, so I'm going to divide by 6 to both sides, and you have to show it being divided to both sides, and we get x equals 8. There we go. So now, moving along, and yes, you would want to check this for the essence of time for your video. We're going to move on, so the video doesn't take too long. All right. Moving on to number 14. We're looking at 14. My variable's on the other side of the equal sign. For some of us, that might be like, doesn't matter. We still think about, we're still trying to get this variable by itself. All right, so that means I've got to draw my equation wall. I need to move what's farthest away on the same side, which is the 8 by chance again. I'm adding 8, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. This zeroes out. 11 minus 8 is 3 equals C over -5. What's happening between the C and the -5? What operation? Division. How do I undo division? We multiply by -5 to both sides. This cancels, and I end up with -15 equals C. And there we go. Okay, just a couple of more, guys. All right, so now we're looking at 17. I'm trying to make sure that I go through as many examples as possible so you know what's going on. Okay, again, goal is to get the P by itself. I've got to move what's farthest away. Okay, so that's a -10. Remember, the goal is, what do I have to do to get to 0? What do I need to do to get to 0? Well, if it's a -10, I'm going to move +10 to get that to equal 0. And if I add 10 on that side, I have to add 10 on this side. Bring everything else down. So I have 7/4 P equals different signs, so they're doing battle, so I'm subtracting, so I get 28, the negatives win, so this is a -28. Here we go, now I've got a fraction here, so remember, to do fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by 4/7 on both sides. This cancels, and I'm left with P equals, now I'm going to see, can I simplify anything here? Sure. 7 goes into 7 one time, 7 goes into 28 4 times. Just remember that's a -4. So I have different signs, so I'm going to end up with a -16 as my answer. One more, we got this. Okay, this is throwing us a little bit of a curveball when we look at this. So the examples below are different in that the multiplication or division is done first. So in this scenario, we're going to do multiplication or division first. The reason being is because when I look at this, the fraction bar is a grouping symbol. It's like putting this inside parentheses, even though they're not written. So that means the -2 is the wrapping paper. That is the farthest away from the variable. All right, here we go. So it's dividing by -2. So that means I need to multiply by -2 on both sides. When I do that, the -2's cancel, and I'm left with n minus 5 equals 14. Because the division, this multiplication times -2 cancels out the division. Or if you think about -2 divided by -2, that equals 1. And now we continue to solve. So I'm subtracting 5, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I end up with n equals 19. Your assignment is to finish rest of notes problems, and then we'll see if we've got time for the classwork homework. Have a great day, guys.